Yesterday, I posted a video that has gone viral about a 17-year-old that was impersonating a physician assistant at Corpus Christi Medical Center. After that was posted, he actually reached out to me and we ended up on the phone and we talked for about an hour and a half. He said that he just wants to set the record straight and give, his version of events. And I took lots of notes. And I'm going to tell you his story as best I can. It is going to sound maybe a little bit confusing at times, and that is not for lack of trying. It is confusing. It's hard to follow at times. And so I'm just going to share with you what he has told me, and you guys can come to your own opinion on this. Okay, so this happened when he was 17. He is now 19, almost 19 years old. He was charged for impersonating a physician assistant without a license. He also had a charge of theft of property for a bunch of scrubs, but that charge, he says, was dismissed. The case is now closed as of December. He pled no contest to the charges, and he does have the 6-year deferred adjudication. So if he stays out of trouble for the 6 years, essentially his it's wiped clean, his record. He did spend 3 months in jail last year after being pulled over, finding out he had a new warrant and the prior bond being revoked. He says that the judge was in the middle of a murder trial, so he had to wait 3 months before he could finally get out on bond again. But at this point, it is closed. It's a done deal. Okay, so first and foremost, he wants everyone to know that he was not ever impersonating a PA, a physician assistant. He said this is all basically a big misunderstanding, that he's not a con artist. He wanted to go into the medical field. He still kind of does. And he wasn't sure which direction he wanted to go in. And he was thinking PA route, and so he ended up eventually contacting Corpus Christi Medical Center HR department because he was advised from some friends, I believe, that you should go and shadow some PAs and see if that's actually what you want to do. And he thought that was a great idea, so he submitted the application, went through the background screening process. This was like during COVID, so I think he was trying to tell me that the process was a little weird at that time. He was given temporary access. He was living in Missouri at the time. He traveled to Corpus Christi, and when he arrived, he went into CCMC and told them that, he just arrived, he'd been traveling, and he asked for a badge. Now, he says that's where the traveling PA component came in, that he never said he was a traveling PA. In fact, he never said he was a PA, but that's where the traveling part came in, because he mentioned that he was traveling, okay? So there was an HR volunteer coordinator that gave him a badge. Now, she was subsequently terminated, and he says he feels really bad that she was terminated. She gave an interview, which I saw, in which she said that she wasn't sure if she should give him the badge, and she called someone, presumably a supervisor, and was told, go ahead and give it to him. But now I want to talk about something. This is something that I noted that didn't come from him. This is an HCA facility. Why does HCA have volunteers working in human resources? HCA has more money than God and the King of England combined. And they're utilizing volunteers in human resources for making ID badges a security issue. Why, HCA? Yeah, hospitals use volunteers all the time as greeters and, different things, not making badges a security issue and not in human resources. That was a huge red flag to me about the hospital. And that's important. We're going to come back to that. So he got his badge, and it had a badge buddy, you know, the thing behind the badge that apparently said physician assistant on it. He said that he never told anyone that he was a physician assistant, that that's what the badge said, and that he told everyone he was a student or a PA student. So he contends that the reason HCA has done this and reported him to law enforcement and all of that was basically to protect themselves, to save themselves from a potential lawsuit. HCA has been like radio silent ever since this happened. They have not made any comments publicly that I'm aware of. Now, anyone that we've talked about HCA here a lot, and anyone that has ever worked for HCA will not find this remotely shocking. And in fact, we'll see this as completely plausible. You could see how they clearly dropped the ball and created a situation in which this could occur. And now, to avoid any possible responsibility, they're going to throw someone under the bus. I mean, this is par for the course, right? There's a million examples of this, right? So I think that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. He said he was only there for 1 week, not a month, as has been reported, and that he kept showing up every day after work, that he wasn't like hanging around like people said, that he would only be there for about 10 minutes or so at a time. And he kept asking, you know, who do I need to contact to find out where I need to go? And that he would try to contact or call ahead of time the night before and say, you know, where am I going to be assigned? And sometimes he would be told to go to a certain unit or area, and sometimes it was just kind of left up to him, like he didn't know where he was supposed to go. He says that he was never given any clear communication about who he should be following, and that he would just show up every day and like change into hospital scrubs and try to find out like where he's supposed to go. I asked him about going into all the different units, especially the nursery unit, and he said, you know, I only went in there one time, and it's because I needed a new badge reel. His had broke, and he went in there to ask if they had an extra badge reel, and they did. They gave him one. He says that he never touched a patient this whole time. He never treated a patient. He never touched a patient, except he did say that he saved one person's life that was in the parking lot outside the hospital, that he was having a stroke. He used the term Bell's palsy, and that he, you know, took him into the ER because he had access with his badge and brought him in, and that, you know, he was treated. He says that he was referred to a neurosurgeon by someone there that he had become kind of friends with, I guess, and that he talked to the neurosurgeon, and he was supposed to go back next week and shadow a couple surgeries in the OR with him. That never happened. I asked him about reports that he said to the nurses in ICU that he didn't have access to the EMR, and he didn't know what EMR was when I used that term. I had to tell him, and he said, oh no, it was not the medical record. It was whatever their computer system is for logging their hours, that he had to log his hours to keep track. Regarding the college that he went to, supposedly being a girls only college, he says it's Stevens University, and while that is true that it's a girls only college, the PA program itself is not. It's co-ed, and so that was just misinformation, he says. And so this continued for a week or so until one day 2 undercover cops pulled him over after he had left the hospital and screaming, "Where's your badge? Where's the scrubs?" And he was arrested. And there's an interesting side story with scrubs where he purchased them before he went down there. He liked to wear figs, he said, and somehow he ended up with a bunch of scrubs at home that he said he was going to wash. Anyway, I'm at the 10-minute mark, so come back for part 2.